today's episode, I'm going to be talking about Assassin's Creed Liberation, and I'll explain just why I think the PlayStation Vita version is the worst and most BS way to earn the Assassin's Creed Liberation Platinum Trophy. Assassin's Creed Liberation's Platinum Trophy took me around 20 hours to unlock, and while the game was originally a PS Vita exclusive, Ubisoft did eventually release a HD version for consoles. And the Vita version, while impressive at times, because, let's face it, it is Assassin's Creed on a handheld, it unfortunately isn't a great game, and it does actually kind of suck on the PlayStation Vita. And here are my 6 reasons why I think it's best to avoid the Vita version. Okay, so let's just get the obvious one out of the way first, shall we? Compared to the console version, the Vita version doesn't perform as well, and obviously the visuals aren't as good either. Being made exclusively for the Vita, it is the worst looking and performing, as the HD version just beats it out in both departments, as it rightly should, as the consoles were just more powerful. The Vita version's frame rate is okay for the most part, to be fair, but obviously the HD one is the better of the two there. So if you want a smoother and nicer looking Platinum journey, then you'll want to stick to the HD versions. Multiplayer. The Vita version of the game comes with an exclusive multiplayer mode, and unfortunately it brings with it 3 multiplayer trophies that thankfully you can at least boost solo. However, this multiplayer mode is absolutely pathetic, honestly, as it's just this menu-based game where you send out assassins on missions that you can never actually play or see take place. It's kind of like the boat thing you actually do in the actual game itself, where in the Assassin's Hideout you can buy ships and buy certain goods and sail to other cities and sell those goods there to make profit, but you never see the ships, you never control the ships as they go. It just sort of happens over time, and then if you play the game for another 15 minutes they'll come back. It's kind of like that sort of thing. So the assassins you have will earn XP for successful missions or fights, and the trophies just require you to complete 100 fights, 30 of these specific economic missions, and the worst trophy would have to be the completionist one, which requires you to reach the maximum rank of level 15. While level 15 doesn't sound that high, it will take you around 600 missions to do that, which I think took me about 4 hours worth of grinding. And honestly, there is just no fun to be had here in this multiplayer mode, as, like I said earlier, there's no actual gameplay here. You don't control the assassins, and you don't get to do any of the cool stuff. You're pretty much just interacting with a couple of menu screens and waiting some time for them to come back. I was honestly really shocked at just how poor this was, especially when the console ones actually had, some fully fledged multiplayer modes in them. I was kind of expecting a more stripped down, maybe even just a one-on-one assassin mission in 3D. That surely could have worked, but no, this is just really terrible, and it made me wonder why they even bothered in the first place. But yeah, needless to say, this crappy multiplayer mode wasn't included in the HD re-release of the game, which was a small mercy to be fair, and it makes the Vita one a worse one to Platinum, because you have a boring multiplayer grind to get through as part of the Platinum journey. The 100% sync trophy. Due to the Vita controls and performance, this one was made much tougher to unlock on the PlayStation Vita, in my opinion. The 100% sync requirements in all the missions was always an annoying trophy in any of the other Assassin's Creed games, but this one has its own extra brand of BS on top. You can expect the usual requirements, such as killing people undetected, killing people with certain weapons, not killing anyone at all, platforming through areas in really specific ways, like not touching any water, and speedrunning certain platforming sections. I won't go over all of the individual mission requirements, but instead I'll just highlight which I think is the most BS one on the Vita, and it is the hold enemies off for 1 minute objective in the abandoning pretense mission. This one for me just didn't work at all, and it took me ages to get past. I literally spent hours here doing this really short mission over and over again without any luck at all. And it turns out that this one is kind of glitched, because if you failed it on your very first attempt when first playing this mission, and then you just restart your checkpoint to try the objective again, that objective is actually unobtainable. Not the game tells you this, but it is. If you restart this thing, it won't ever work until you actually restart the whole memory and mission. You see, because once you go down the steps here, you have a bunch of guards that will attack you, and the objective is to hold them off for a minute, and you do that by not taking too much damage, because if you do, a cutscene will trigger and it sort of just ends the mission there and then. So you have to fight these enemies and not really get hit more than once for the whole minute. However, if you got hit when you first started, which you probably do because the controls are quite laggy on the Vita, and it doesn't always respond when you try and do your counters, so you'll likely get hit and trigger the cutscene. And then if you restart the checkpoint there, that mission then will always just end and trigger the cutscene after 58 seconds. Even if you take no damage or you run around and avoid killing all the enemies really quickly, it's impossible to beat them, because you need to be on that bit for a minute, but the game will always end that mission after 58 seconds, so you're never going to get it. Another issue I had with it is if you do it even on your first attempt and you kill all the guards too quickly, the mission just ends. It doesn't spawn in enough enemies to keep you busy for a minute. So in the end, the only way around it I could see was to, as soon as you start, run back up the steps, throw a couple of smoke bombs on the ground every couple of seconds once they stop coughing, to just pin the guards in a certain area. And then once you run out of those, just run up and round the stairs, up and down and round the back of this building for the rest of the minute to avoid them and avoid them hitting you. So yeah, it was just terrible, and it was another case of the Vita just wasting more of the playtime trying to do this crap. Pickpocketing. So there's a trophy called Thief, which is really annoying, as it requires you to steal 5,000 coins in order for you to unlock it, and the pickpocketing mechanic in the Vita version of the game is just absolutely terrible. Instead of just being a simple button press like it is in every other Assassin's Creed game, on the Vita you actually have to select your target and then draw a line downwards with your finger on the rear touchpad. And at first glance hearing that'll sound really simple, but if you swipe your finger too slowly, you'll fail. If you go too quickly, you'll fail. And a lot of the times when you try it, it won't even register anything anyway, or it will just instantly fail as soon as you move your finger and the prompt appears on screen. It's just a really, really awkward gimmick that just gets in the way and makes this tedious trophy just even more finicky to unlock. As if you fail a pickpocket on a person, you can't seemingly do it again. You have to select another person and then try them, and you can also go back to them after that. But yeah, it's just really awkward, and it should have just been a button press. That would have been so much easier, and having to do 5,000 will take a little bit of a while, especially when you're fumbling with the controls all the time. The ball puzzle. So later on in the game's story, you'll come to this area with this ball puzzle, and your optional objective for the 100% sync is to beat it in 2 minutes. And sadly, as soon as you take control of this thing to start the puzzle, you'll quickly realise that 2 minutes isn't enough time, as the motion controls for it are just terrible. So it's one of those classic ball mazes where you tilt the thing forwards, backwards, left and right to tilt it around and move the ball around the maze. And you kind of supposed to do that with the Vita to mimic how you would do it in real life on one of those, but when you try and do it on the Vita the way you would do it in real life, it doesn't play out that way how you think it would, so you'll end up just finding the ball just constantly rolls further than you want, and it's a real struggle to try and stop it from going one way and turn and then have it move backwards and then tilt it in another direction. Like, trying to do all that on the Vita, it just can't handle it, and I'd be just twisted up on the Vita and I wouldn't be able to see the screen, and then the ball would just be going anywhere it likes other than the way I want it to, and I would just miss all the turns that I'd need to go down through the maze, and it was just so annoying and a real struggle actually to get through this maze in 2 minutes to complete that objective, purely because of these motion controls. It's a simple puzzle that shouldn't have took me more than one go to do, but instead I spent probably I'm ashamed to admit, about 30 minutes on this thing, just replaying it over and over again to try and do it, because it was just so awkward. The motion controls just make this 100 times harder and more frustrating than it ever needed to be. It just really sucks. Letters. When opening letters is one of the hardest things you have to do in an Assassin's Creed game, you know something went wrong. Again, it's the Vita motion controls, and this one is annoyingly one that just reoccurs the most throughout the story. I mean, seriously, Ubisoft just love this letter opening gimmick that they made. So, in order to open the letters, the game tells you that you're supposed to swipe from the left to the right across the top of the front and back touchpads at the same time. Only this doesn't work, or rather, it only works when the game just decides, yeah, that'll do, that'll count. So, you just end up queuing up countless swipes where you swipe both of the screens at the same time again and again, and the game just never responds to it. You know, you'll go slowly, you'll do them both together dead on at the same time quickly or at medium speed, and it won't ever register it. The letter just refused to open most of the time, and it just really began to piss me off as I'd end up cleaning the screens, you know, rubbing them both to make sure there's no dirt on them, and then I'd wash my hands because if they're a bit sweaty or whatever, and I'd try it again and again with just no luck. And despite me beating the whole story and getting a platinum trophy and opening multiple letters along the way, I still don't have a surefire way to do this thing, and never once did I manage to do it on my very first swipe. So it's just, again, broken motion controls. And to make matters even more BS, some of the letters, once you finally get them open, they include this like light gimmick, which again does not friggin' work at all, because it'll tell you to hold the Vita up so the camera's pointing at a light source, and then you have to turn this thing on the main screen. And I struggled with this for hours, and it almost made me throw the Vita across the room in anger, because it's just so broken mechanically and just so stupid. Why do I have to do this? I was trying the lights on my ceiling in the room that I was in. I was trying the light coming from the TV. I was pointing the camera outside at the sun, and I even at one point turned all the lights off in the living room and put my phone's torch on and just pointed it at that, and it still wouldn't work. Like, it was just so weird. The game just never responded to it at all. I just got no feedback from the game whatsoever to say it was working or nothing. So it's really hard to tell if you're doing it right to be able to do the next part of it. And I think what you need to do is, when you're pointing it at a light source, you need to like turn and tilt the Vita a little bit so that it does this little ping thing on the screen, and then you have to swipe this thing on the screen to unlock the letter. It's just weird, and I don't get what they were going for here. And honestly, I'm still not even sure like what the actual point of it is, because it just ends and you see this like generic like map looking thing on the letter, and then that's it. It doesn't it doesn't go anywhere. It's like, what the fuck was the point in that? You know, again, it's just wasting your time because things don't work with that game, and it's really annoying. So there you have it. 6 reasons why the PlayStation Vita version is the worst way to platinum Assassin's Creed Liberation. Though I will say, at least in this version, you don't have to grind a load of cash to buy all the pocket watches. That is about the only positive I can think of for this version of the game. So yeah, I guess the Vita version of Assassin's Creed Liberation deserves a BS trophy rating of